Here we are in exile. Everything's gone horribly wrong. But God is like a farmer sowing seed. As the rain and the snow come down from heaven and don't return but water the earth, making it sprout and give forth, so shall my word be that goes forth from my mouth. God will sow his people again, and wonderful shrubs will grow where before there were only thorns and thistles. And the image of God sowing Israel again is an image of return from exile, of the return of Yahweh, and of the flooding of creation with God's presence and love. But Jesus says, yes, God is doing that, but no, it's not going to mean what you thought it meant. Because so many of his contemporaries, and we see John the Baptist already telling them off for this, so many of his contemporaries thought that if God became king, this would at once and automatically mean that all the Israelite people at the time, all the Judean people living there in Judea and Galilee, they would at once be rescued, the Romans would be sent packing, and they would be able to be God's people living in the land forever and ever. And Jesus is saying it's not going to be like that. The farmer is sowing seed. There really is good seed. There really will be a great harvest. But some will go to waste, and some will be eaten by birds, and some will be trodden underfoot. And so the parables come as a challenge. Yes, the kingdom really is here, but no, it's not happening the way you thought. Now, the redefinition of the kingdom has been much misunderstood. At one level, some people have thought that Jesus was saying, no, the kingdom isn't an earthly thing, it's a purely heavenly thing, so I'm telling you how to go to heaven. That's the Platonic misunderstanding, which creeps into the church in the 3rd and 4th centuries and still got its grip on much Western Christianity. But there have been others who've said, well, if Jesus' people are the ones who are now the kingdom of God people, then we've got to rule the world in the way that people do rule the world. So we have crusades and inquisitions and holy wars and goodness knows what, and people imagining that the kingdom of God following Jesus means some kind of violent agenda. And again, Jesus has to say, no. Here's how the redefinition works. That great passage in Mark chapter 10. Remember when James and John come and want to claim something from Jesus? We have a question, Rabbi. We want to ask, okay, what is it? Well, please will you grant that when you come in your kingdom, we will sit one at your right and one at your left? You know, I think this is a bit of a power grab, because they're getting in first ahead of Peter and Andrew. They know that when Jesus is sitting on his throne, presumably in Jerusalem, he's going to need a secretary for home affairs and a secretary for foreign affairs. And they want to be those two people, thank you very much. His right and his left hand met. Jesus says, you have no idea what you're talking about. You have no idea what you're talking about. Can you drink the cup that I drink, or be baptized with the baptism I'm to be baptized with? Say, oh yeah, we can do that. Little do you know. And Jesus says, well, we'll see. But to sit at my right and my left isn't mine to grant when I come in my kingdom. It's been prepared for somebody else. And those who know Mark's gospel will see the line all the way from Mark 10 to Mark 15, when Jesus is acclaimed as king, king of the Jews above his head, with one on his right and one on his left. That's the redefinition of the kingdom. And so Jesus says, listen, I'll tell you, the rulers of this world get their way by bossing, bullying, harrying, killing, using violence on people. We're not going to do it like that. We're going to do it the other way. Anyone who wants to be number one must become the slave of all. Why? Well, what is this about? Because the Son of Man didn't come to be served, to sit on a throne grandly, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. The redefinition of the kingdom, which James and John were not expecting at all, and I think all the way through to Jesus' crucifixion and resurrection, the disciples just never got this. The way to be great in the kingdom is through the path which leads to the cross. The kingdom of God is radical. We don't want another Caesar. We don't want another Herod. The world has had quite enough of them. What we need is those who follow Jesus in the way of the cross. The kingdom is radically redefined, and then the kingdom is achieved through the cross. The shadow of the cross falls across the first half of the narrative as well. Every time there is opposition, every time there are those shrieking demons, every time there are plots against Jesus' life, every time that old Herod just up the road, Herod Antipas, hears about Jesus and is a bit scared because he got rid of John the Baptist and now here's somebody else doing similar stuff. And what's this all about? The kingdom of God will be accomplished through the way of the cross.
I plead the blood over you. Thank Jesus.